Prime Minister Peter Mandelson, who's widely expected to become your next US ambassador, said that you should end your feud with Elon Musk and that you should use Nigel Farage to help build bridges.
UK relationship has been a special relationship for a reason, forged in difficult circumstances, and as important today as it's ever been. And that is, in forging that relationship, I've obviously spent time with President-elect. I think the facts speak for themselves. As I've said on a number of occasions, for a typical family wanting to pass on through the family, which is a typical case, completely understood.
Did Elon Musk just become the unlikely hero of British politics? In a stunning turn of events, the tech billionaire has publicly called out Keir Starmer, leaving the Labour leader scrambling for answers. As Starmer's approval ratings plummet, Musk's intervention has given voice to millions of disillusioned voters. But what exactly did Musk say that's caused such an uproar? And how will this impact the future of British democracy? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Elon Musk's sudden foray into UK politics has caught many off guard. Known for his global influence in technology and space exploration, Musk typically weighs in on international issues with broad strokes. But his recent laser focus on British politics, particularly his criticism of Keir Starmer, marks a significant departure from his usual approach. Musk's Twitter feed, once dominated by Tesla updates and SpaceX launches, now bristles with pointed commentary on the UK's political landscape. He's not just making passing remarks, he's diving deep into British affairs with a level of detail that's raising eyebrows across the political spectrum.
Well, I think people are in a state of somewhat shock as to what this new government is doing, and that's not going to happen, not while this government you've got is doing the kind of things that they're doing. I can't see that happening. Well, first, let me say, I think England has gone back to the Tudor times, not America. You've just gone back 400 years with this government that you've got. I don't think there's room for, personally, I don't think there's room for something like you've suggested, because what you're suggesting is a sort of rapprochement.
The tech mogul's most provocative claim, that the UK is becoming a police state. It's a bold accusation, one that Musk backs up with specific examples of what he sees as government overreach. He's cited recent arrests of protesters and controversial proposed legislation as evidence of a creeping authoritarianism in Britain. The timing of Musk's comments is particularly intriguing. They coincide with a period of growing public discontent in the UK, marked by cost of living protests and increasing scrutiny of government policies. It's as if Musk has tapped into a vein of frustration running through British society, amplifying voices that feel unheard by the political establishment. But why is Musk, an American entrepreneur, so invested in UK politics? Some speculate it's a strategic move to expand his influence. Others suggest he's genuinely concerned about what he perceives as threats to free speech and individual liberties. Whatever his motives, Musk's intervention has undeniably shaken up the political discourse in Britain.
There are warnings about job cuts over your changes to NICs. There are farmers protesting in Westminster over inheritance tax, and there are warnings about pensioner poverty due to the winter fuel changes.
And the reason we got into such a mess for the last 14 years is because the last government refused to take a single difficult decision.
Jeremy Clarkson's been at this protest in Whitehall with the farmers, and he says that 96% of farmers will be affected by this tax change, and he asked the crowd to raise their hand if they were affected, and almost everybody did.
We had to stabilise the economy, we had to deal with the 22 billion black hole, and we needed to invest in the future of our country.
As Musk continues to train his critical eye on UK leadership, particularly Keir Starmer, the impact of his statements is reverberating through British society. His massive platform ensures that every tweet, every comment becomes instant fodder for debate. And with each passing day, the question grows louder. How will Starmer and the British political establishment respond to this unexpected challenge from across the Atlantic? While Elon Musk's accusations echo across social media, an eerie silence descends over Downing Street. Keir Starmer, the man at the centre of this political storm, seems oddly reluctant to engage. But why? What could possibly explain the Labour leader's uncharacteristic reticence in the face of such a high-profile attack? Starmer's initial reaction to Musk's comments was surprisingly muted. Instead of addressing the tech billionaire's claims head-on, he opted for a cryptic statement about ensuring community safety. In his own words, Starmer declared, "My focus is ensuring that our communities are safe. That is my sole focus." It's a curious response, one that seems to sidestep the core issues Musk raised entirely. Typically, when a prominent figure like Musk lobs accusations at a political leader, we'd expect a swift and decisive rebuttal, a point-by-point breakdown of why the critic is wrong, perhaps even a counterattack. But Starmer's approach has been anything but typical. He's avoided mentioning Musk by name in public statements, creating an elephant in the room that grows larger with each passing day. Political experts are divided on Starmer's strategy. Some argue it's a calculated move to maintain focus on governance rather than getting dragged into a public spat with a controversial figure. By refusing to engage, Starmer might hope to appear above the fray, a leader more concerned with real issues than Twitter drama. But others see it as a sign of weakness, an inability to effectively counter high-profile criticism. As Starmer's silence stretches on, the potential consequences loom large. Public sentiment appears to be shifting against him, with a petition calling for his resignation gaining over 2 million signatures.
You've always said you're in it for the long term, but about 2 million people would like an election much sooner than 5 years away. 2 million people have signed a petition. You've been pushing it along for a while. What does that tell you?
There is a deep sense of dissatisfaction that a government that was elected with only 20% of the adults in the country voting for them, with a massive majority. Well, the fact that a petition is launched on Sunday and gets 2 million or 2.5 million now signatures within 48 hours, I've never seen a petition grow as quickly as this.
This groundswell of discontent reflects widespread frustration with Starmer's leadership and his handling of recent crises, including riots and public safety issues. But what exactly were the shocking accusations Musk leveled against Starmer? The tech mogul painted a damning picture of the UK as a police state under Starmer's watch. He cited recent arrests of protesters and controversial proposed legislation as evidence of creeping authoritarianism. Musk's comments tapped into a vein of frustration running through British society, giving voice to those who feel unheard by the political establishment. The public's reaction to this political clash has been significant. Many express frustration over Starmer's perceived inaction.
I've never, in the half a century I've looked at politics, I've never seen a Prime Minister lose popularity as quickly as this. And have now done things like attacking the farmers, taking money away from pensioners, that they didn't say they would do in the run-up to the campaign in their manifesto. So there's a real breach of trust. It's ironic, they're in real trouble, and yet they've got a huge parliamentary majority. Things can only get worse.
With Musk's bold criticisms resonating with those feeling disillusioned by the current political climate. As the silence from Downing Street continues, calls for accountability from political leaders grow louder. The question on everyone's mind: how long can Starmer maintain this strategy of non-engagement before it backfires spectacularly? Just when you thought Musk versus Starmer couldn't get more intense, a wild card enters the fray. Tommy Robinson's imprisonment has caught Musk's eye. But why? This unexpected twist raises a crucial question. Is the UK truly becoming a police state? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Tommy Robinson, a name that sparks fierce debate in British politics, is currently serving an 18-month prison sentence. His conviction for contempt of court, stemming from repeating false claims against a Syrian refugee, has become a lightning rod for controversy. Robinson's supporters see him as a martyr for free speech, while his critics view him as a troublemaker who crossed a legal line. Enter Elon Musk, the tech billionaire known for his outspoken views on global issues. But why is Musk, usually focused on electric cars and space exploration, suddenly interested in a British activist's legal troubles? It's a stark departure from his typical international concerns, and it's got people talking. Musk's amplification of Robinson's case has sent shockwaves through UK politics. His massive platform has thrust the issue into the spotlight.
A mile wide, an inch deep, but this is what we've talked about the real change that the UK needs, which is a system that is not the first past the post scenario anymore.
I mean, the whole thing's absolutely bonkers, and it needs to be reformed along with much else in our country. For every single Labour MP, there are 34,000 votes, right? For every Reform MP, there are 815,000 votes.
Forcing both supporters and critics to take notice. Some are hailing Musk as a champion of free speech, While others accuse him of recklessly promoting a divisive figure, the reactions from various political factions have been swift and polarized. Robinson's supporters are thrilled, seeing Musk's interest as validation of their concerns about free speech in the UK. They're using this moment to double down on their claims that the government is suppressing dissent. On the other hand, Robinson's critics are worried that Musk's involvement could legitimize what they see as dangerous rhetoric. As this story unfolds, the potential impact on UK politics is becoming clear. Musk's comments about the UK being a tyrannical police state have reignited debates about the balance between law enforcement and civil liberties. It's forcing politicians and the public alike to grapple with tough questions about the limits of free speech and the role of government in regulating it. Robinson's case has become a focal point for Musk, serving as a concrete example in his broader critique of UK governance. The tech mogul's attention has led to a surge in views for Robinson's documentary, which has now been seen by over 60 million people. This increased visibility is fueling the ongoing discourse around Robinson's controversial stance and the implications of his imprisonment. While Starmer grapples with Musk's accusations at home, diplomatic phones are ringing off the hook in Washington. The US State Department finds itself in an awkward position. How do you navigate international relations when one of your most famous citizens is publicly calling an ally a police state?
Elon Musk have described it as a fascist government, but you know, Keir Starmer was elected this summer, and if he doesn't get things right, he'll be kicked out in 4 years' time. That's not really fascism.
So, you know, England is a beacon of what we consider to be good, and I've always considered to be good, you know, on the side of right and all that sort of thing. Liberal sort of groups, liberal's a nice word, I don't like that word. The sort of weirdo sort of left groups that you could find to sort of prove that you were not a person who supported apartheid. We never supported apartheid, really.
The UK-US relationship, often touted as special, now faces an unexpected test. Traditionally, this alliance has been a cornerstone of global diplomacy, with both nations standing shoulder to shoulder on many international issues. But Musk's intervention has thrown a wrench into this well-oiled machine. Musk's influence in the US is undeniable. With millions of followers hanging on his every tweet, his criticisms of UK governance aren't just idle chatter, they're shaping public perception. Americans who might not usually pay attention to British politics are now questioning the state of democracy across the pond. This shift in perception could have far-reaching consequences for UK-US relations. US political figures have been surprisingly quiet on the matter. It's a tightrope walk. How do you respond when a prominent American citizen criticizes a close ally? Some politicians might privately agree with Musk's assessment, while others are likely concerned about the potential diplomatic fallout. The implications for trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange could be significant. Will American businesses think twice before investing in a country labeled a police state by one of their most successful entrepreneurs? Could cultural exchanges be affected if Americans start viewing the UK in a more negative light? Experts are divided on the long-term consequences. Some predict a temporary cooling of relations, while others believe this could lead to a more fundamental reassessment of the UK-US alliance. There's even speculation that Musk's comments could influence future trade negotiations or diplomatic agreements. As this situation unfolds, one thing is clear: the unpredictability of social media's influence on international relations. A single tweet from a tech billionaire has the power to reshape diplomatic narratives that have been carefully cultivated for decades. It's a stark reminder of how traditional diplomacy is being challenged in the digital age. The UK-US alliance has weathered many storms, but this new challenge is unlike any it's faced before. As we move towards our conclusion, one question looms large. In an era where tech billionaires can sway public opinion with a single post, what does the future hold for international diplomacy? Elon Musk's unexpected foray into UK politics has sent shockwaves through the establishment.
Mr. Speaker, we live in probably a more volatile world than we've lived in for many decades. It is absolutely crucial. We will continue to work, as we have done in the 4 months in government, on issues of security, our economy and global conflict.
Given the risk of increased tariffs on UK exports, which threaten our manufacturing sector, will the Prime Minister commit now to continue the negotiations on our free trade agreement with the US, which the Biden administration cancelled when they came into office?
His pointed criticisms of Keir Starmer and bold claims about the UK becoming a police state have resonated with disillusioned voters. Starmer's reluctance to engage directly with Musk's accusations has only fueled public frustration, while the Tommy Robinson case has become a lightning rod for debates about free speech and government overreach. The ripple effects of Musk's intervention extend far beyond British borders, potentially reshaping the UK-US relationship. His massive social media influence has thrust complex political issues into the global spotlight, forcing a re-evaluation of how tech leaders impact international discourse. As traditional diplomacy grapples with the power of a single tweet to sway public opinion, we're left wondering, in this new era of digital influence, how will governments maintain control over their narratives and policies?